Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I am the Chall, and today Chall Chats Theme Parks, where we attended the press night for Doncaster Fear Factory this week for 2023. Doncaster Fear Factory is a local Halloween scare park with 5 mazes, including the brand new one, Diabolus, Keeper of Secrets. Now, of course, they do have 4 returning mazes from last year, the Pogo Club, the Chasm, y.a.n.a Gate, and of course the legend of Crackle Hill. Now, first of all, a little bit of history on the event. Of course, this originally was in 28 up until 2018 was in a different location in Skello. There was 2 mazes, the Dig and the House That Drew Breath. I just want to quickly say that I loved those 2 mazes. I think the Dig was a fantastic, nice underground sort of, hideously vile looking maze. It was fantastic in the way it kind of creeps you out underground. And the House That Drew Breath, classic haunted house, a conga style maze with the hands on the shoulders. And it was fantastic to see 2 different types of mazes, because the Dig was very much a free roaming maze and the House That Drew Breath was hands on shoulders. Of course, this year, like I said, 5 mazes, including the brand new one, Diabolus, which, spoiler alert, is a different type of maze to the other 4, but more on that a little bit later. So we're going to share everything about the mazes and share my overall thoughts on the event. We're also going to chip in before we get started with thoughts from other people. So before we get started, make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to next YouTube video. Make sure you stay tuned for more of these. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. We will share everything and anything. We're launching a big new podcast, hopefully within the next few weeks, the next couple of months, up until the end of the year, and go straight into 2024. Stay tuned in the new year for a 2024 channel promotional video. And for now, guys, let's talk about Doncaster Fear Factory. So before we can get started on talking about my thoughts on the mazes and things like that, we have to go through my predictions going into the event. Now, I've got to tell you, the free roaming entertainment, even going up to the lounge area where we all hung out ready for the press night, even the pathway up into the marquee was, terrifying, as you'll see on your screen right now.
Fear them, my child. They're simply hungry for a certain type of meat.
Okay.
You may go, my child. But I should warn you, if you enter my chapel late at night, you are welcome. Just don't look into his eyes.
Be
safe now, my child.
Thank you.
And may he have your...
It was fantastic to see all the roaming characters and the kind of interaction we had with them. And I think that Fear Factory absolutely nailed it on the money. As soon as you go into the car park, you're led into the car park by a zombie. There was this kind of, scariness right from the very start. Now, before I get into my predictions of everything to do with the mazes itself, we have to go with other people's predictions about what they were looking forward to going into the event. So here is Arch Nemesis, Jack Silkstone, and Parks and Pints, or Parks and Fright, shall we say, on the press night at Doncaster Fear Factory before we all stepped into the mazes. So we've got our first guest tonight, the Jack Silkstone.
How you doing, Chall? You all good?
I'm good. Is it your first time this year?
It's my first ever time at this event.
Wow. You're vlogging tonight?
I'm not actually filming myself because it was such a last minute decision to come here, so I'm not prepared. But there's going to be so many people filming, so I'm sure I'll be popping up in many videos.
Absolutely. We've got 5 mazes to look forward to tonight. We'll see a new one this year, Diabolus, the Keeper of Secrets. We've got y.a.n.a Facility, we've got the Chasm, we've got the Legend of Crackle Hill, we've also got... can't remember the other one. There's so many to look forward to.
You've done well to remember those ones.
Absolutely. We've got 5 mazes to look forward to this year. How are we looking forward to these mazes?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to all of them. I've come in completely spoiler free, so I don't know what to expect from any of these mazes. I know quite a lot of people that kind of work here, and they're telling me to be excited, so yeah, really looking forward to all of them.
Absolutely. And obviously the technicalities of looking for these things with mazes, obviously the theming, the scariness, you know, how scared we are, the storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we said we're not going to come into this with much expectations, but how would you sort of look at it from a storyline point of view? Excited about the potential storylines from these mazes?
Oh, very much so. And obviously we've got this new one as well, so I'm kind of interested to see how they're incorporating this whole new story and everything. And I've been watching like some of the marketing they've been doing. So that's kind of starting the storylines. So yeah, looking good.
Yeah, I mean, Diabolus, Keeper of Secrets sounds very Wicker Man-esque, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
And finally then, obviously it's a great night tonight. Half the community's here tonight,
yeah,
along with the Sky community as well. It's just a fantastic event tonight.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Seeing loads of familiar faces already. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone scared running out of the mazes later on. That's it.
Brilliant. Jack, make sure you look forward to tonight.
Absolutely. Who do you want me to send in next for you, Chall?
Oh, let's go with Arch Nemesis.
Arch Nemesis. I'll try and go and find him for you. Lovely to see you again though, mate.
So we are here with the master DJ of theme parks, Arch Nemesis.
Hello everyone.
How are we doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Not seen you and Jack since Blackpool.
Oh, it's been a minute. But it's good to see you today. Spooky season. I'm very excited to be up here at Doncaster Fear Factory to experience everything.
Absolutely. We've got 5 mazes, including the new one this year, Diabolus, Keeper of Secrets. Sounds very Wicker Man-esque. How excited are we about the potential storylines of these mazes? We've got YANA facility, the Chasm, we've got the Legend of Crackle Hill, the Pogo Club, we've got the new one, Diabolus. I mean, how amazing do they sound?
They do, they sound amazing. I love the names. I'm super excited personally because I'm pretty much going in blind to this event, so there's a lot of attractions, all of them, I haven't done before. So I'm really super excited to start these stories for myself from the very beginning, from the start, and just experience these attractions for the first time. I don't know what to expect, but I kind of like that. It's the first time for a long time that I'm going in blind to a scare event, so it's going to be great.
Absolutely, and of course to support the maze they've got a new scare zone, they've got loads of street theatre, we see some of the Roman entertainment beforehand, before we start. I mean, it just looks amazing, doesn't it?
It does. And I tell you what, the roaming starts from the second you enter, because that car park had a zombie in it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was getting taken to my car park spot from a spooky monster. I was like, what is going on? This is brilliant. From the back, it seems like this place. I've got the immersion down, so I'm looking forward to it. It's a lovely welcome tent as well. I'm very grateful to be here. Everyone's so hospitable, and it's going to be a good night. Absolutely,
and you know, from the decorations seen inside the lounge, getting ready to sort of kick the event off tonight with the media and press night. I mean, we've seen from the level of detail as ready with the entrance sound, with the theming, everything with mazes to do with theming and storyline is crucial with these events. I mean, we've already got some great first impressions, haven't we, from that?
Absolutely, yeah, from the first impressions already, and also online, some of the media's been brilliant. I've been loving watching some of these teaser videos that have been coming out. It looks like there's a lot of like cool found footage stuff going into YANA Gate, so I'm really excited. I think YANA Gate and the Chasm could be my top 2 most anticipated mazes of the night.
So we are here with Parks and Pints, or should I say Parks of Frights. Now, Nicole, of course, you've been on the channel before with the preview for the Curse at Alton Manor. Of course, Abigail, it's your first time on the channel. How are we doing?
Good, thank you. Very excited to be here. Very excited. A pleasure to meet you finally in real life.
Thank you. Welcome to Doncaster as well.
Yes.
My home city. 5 mazes this year. New maze this year called Diabolus, Keeper of Secrets. Very interesting. We've got the Pogo Club, we've got YANA facility, YANA Gate, we've got the Chasm, we've got the Legend of Crackle Hill returning this year.
You know it all.
I mean, the maze is coming back this year, the sound of the new maze, I mean, of course with the new scare zone as well. How amazing is this event going to be this year?
It sounds so cool. We've been in quite blind, aren't we?
Yeah, I've never been before, but so far I'm really impressed.
Yeah, like we you know us, we just say yes to anything. We're up for a good scare. So we don't know much about the event, but for parking up, we've had the roaming team who are on top form. This all looks very fancy, and then obviously we've heard things from you about the new maze and the ones that are coming back, and it just sounds really good. And the entrance, I've only had a sneak peek so far, the entrance to the event was really cool as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everything about this event just seems to be on top form this year, and you know, obviously I went to the original when it was just 2 mazes in a different location, and then a 3-year break before it came here, and how it's expanded from 2018 to now, it just looks amazing, even just from the lounge area as the pre-streets tonight. It's just been fantastic, hasn't it?
Very professional, yeah. Super impressed. It's cool that you've seen us both as well.
Yeah, obviously with the types of mazes, with the theming, with the storyline, how important they are to a maze, what's the expectations going into tonight?
I'm scared. That's my expectation currently.
Yeah.
I'm quite nervous.
Honestly, I can't lie. I really don't know what to expect. I love that. I love that I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But we hadn't heard much about it, had we? I was cracking up. What's wrong with you?
It's like a mixture of fear and the moving actors.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like on edge.
But ever since I parked my car, my expectations have gone up.
You were guided into your parking space by an actor.
We've already met, like, what would you call him? What would you call him? A dead man, a priest, a clown,
I saw the priest.
And people running out of
crazy
bushes.
woman, So we've already experienced so much just walking to the marquee for the intro talk. So my expectations are all over the place right now. I mean,
finally then, what maze sort of sounds like it could be your favourite tonight? Because they all sound fantastic, and it's hard to pick one in particular, isn't it?
I think the new one sounds cool.
Yeah.
Very Wicker Man-esque.
Yeah. I think that sounds scary. Like the theme around that sounds very, I don't know, scary. So the first maze that we entered was the Legend of Crackle Hill, and I just want to say thank you very much to Jack Silkstone, Arch Nemesis and Parks and Pints / Parks and Frights for their predictions on the upcoming event at the time. So let's go into the first maze, the Legend of Crackle Hill, and you should see straight away that it was very much a cabin in the woods style, but inside the maze, by the way, spoiler alert, before we go into more about the mazes itself, there will be a spoiler warning on the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen. So if you see the spoiler warning and you don't want spoilers, check the timestamps, pause the video, check the timestamps, and go into the spoiler-free summary of the event at the end of this video. Because if you don't want spoilers on the maze and you're going yourself, you don't want to be ruined, do you? So if you don't want spoilers, click to the spoiler-free summary at the end of the video. If you do want spoilers, welcome back. Now, the Legend of Crackle Hill, it's very much a cabin in the woods style on the outside, and I think me and Nicole were saying this from Parks and Pints. It was very much a cabin in the woods style, and I said this, it was very much the house that drew breath crossed with Creep Freak Massacre in a way. So it was a kind of Creep Freak Massacre with the kind of bloodthirsty actors and the cabin style on the outside, and it was a good mix of wooden cabin and classic vintage house wallpaper design. Like I said, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Fear Factory, comment down below if I'm right, but I swear I saw some of the props from the old house that drew breath in Crackle Hill. Comment down below if I'm right or wrong about that. Those who did house that drew breath, did you notice anything in your visit? Comment down below as well. But it felt very much like a mixture of Cabin in the Woods, Creep Freak Massacre, with that design from parts of it, with the tight corridors as well, and also the house that drew breath with its vintage wallpaper and classic haunted house design. There was a good range of acting quality on display as well. There was a bloodthirsty actor tied to all corners of the bed in the middle by rope, by hand and leg, screaming, trying to grab us, but it was tied together and couldn't. There was some nice jump scares. There was this woman at the start in the kind of mini pre-show after the first pre-show that was like, you're all going to burn. It was fantastic. It was really, really, really good maze. So the whole story about it is this kind of haunted house and these kind of happenings that are taking place. And it felt very much like pre-show, then a minute-long mini pre-show after a 2-minute pre-show, and then it was like led into the rest of the house. And then there's this outside finale with the blood red lighting, which was fantastic, with this wonderful actress who made us feel like we were about to be slaughtered. So, and then of course you walk down that exit path with the caravan next to you, and it was brilliant. Really good story. I found it quite nice to follow. For me, like I said at the start, it felt very stop-start, but I think that's because of the pre-show element and things like that. For me, it felt little less scarier than other mazes at the event. I'll be perfectly honest. I think some of the other mazes were scarier, but I think this one had one of the better storylines, if I'm being brutally honest. I feel like Crackle Hill nailed it in terms of storyline. Don't get me wrong, scare-wise, there were loads of jump scares. I got scared, I got worried a few times. But I think compared to other mazes, I think some of them were much scarier. So for Legend of Crackle Hill, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10
Could be a little bit scarier, but story-wise, absolutely nailed it on, and the scares that were in there were absolutely fantastic. And I think The Legend of Crackle Hill tells a really nice, haunting story and really gets you off your feet quite a few times as well. So it was very, very nice to see the dynamics between storytelling and scare acting. I think there was a nice balance between the two on display. Now on to maze number 2, the Chasm. Now, whereas The Legend of Crackle Hill felt about 7 or 8 minutes, this only felt about 5 minutes long. And this was basically going in underground, you're in this little lift, and there spray effects. It sounded like machine gun pellets, but it felt very much like little jet sprays. Spoiler alert, if you've been on the Nemesis, well, double spoiler alert, if you've been on the new Nemesis Subterra Alton Towers and you feel the jet sprays, I think it's underneath your neck and your legs, on the new Subterra, or the revamped Subterra that's been opened this year, it felt very much like that in a way, if you get what I mean. So you're getting shouted at by this actress and you're sort of being dragged and led into this lift, then it breaks, you get jump scared in the door by an actor, and you are led through tight tunnels, corridors. You are led through this kind of underground sector where some of the soldiers have been, killed and slaughtered, and they become these bloodthirsty animal creatures, kind of just swarming and worming their way through the underground chasms and the tunnels that lay within the underground sector. And it was very, very good. Now, the one thing I really liked with the Chasm, and again, I mentioned this at the start, one of the mazes is a different type of maze to the other 4. So this, Crackle Hill, and a couple of the others, spoiler alert, the new maze is different. The 4 returning mazes were all free-roaming mazes. So obviously there was that worry of, is there going to be similarities? Are they going to feel very similar? No, they did not. Spoiler alert for the other 2, they felt very different in their own brilliant way, which is amazing what Fear Factory did to separate the 4 free roaming mazes from all different themes. What the Chasm did very, very well, there were jump scares, don't get me wrong, but what I loved about the Chasm is there was this kind of stroking of the hair, stroking of the neck, following you around half the maze, which is my experience anyway. But there was this kind of stalkiness about it. It's like not all of the bloodthirsty creatures that lay below the chasms were, interested in, just jumping you and trying to scare you there and then. A couple of them were stroking you everywhere. It's like a commercial. It's like one of those beauty commercials where it's like, do you want luscious skin? It was very much like stroking you and touching you and trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable touching myself there. No, it was very much goosebumps on the arms, goosebumps everywhere. Very chilling, very vile. Very stalker-like, and it was really nice to see a different type of scare. It was more about the longevity of the scares rather than just the 1 second factor. So that's what I really loved about the Chasm, and we were coming out there and I was, we were speaking to a few people and they were very uncomfortable through that. And, that's the kind of feeling we like with these kind of mazes, with the longevity scares as the main primary benefacting feeling of the attraction, the longevity scares and how long they can keep you scared. It doesn't have to be a massive jump scare. It can be just the general stroking and the stalking and following you through the maze and things like that. So for me, Chasm gets an 8 out of 10. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And the theming as well was fantastic. The sets and the theme were incredible. The dusty barrels, the falling rock signs, the rock work around the maze, the tight tunnels. It didn't help my back at times, but it was one of those. The tight tunnels a few times really gave us a real sense of claustrophobia, which was a really nice sensation in a scare maze. Overall, loved it. The Chasm really felt like your worst nightmare underground. Apologies to Nemesis Subterra, of course. So next up was YANA Gate, the facility. This poisonous gas getting unleashed. A 1.5 minute pre-show with a pre-show video explaining the whole situation before you're led into this room, and the actress that led you into the pre-show and this sort of next scene for a few seconds gets eaten, killed, and you're sort of having to go through yourself now.
Hello, and welcome to Facility 26. As you are aware from your briefing at the gateway, Calico disturbed something beneath our feet, which is now the infection we know as H.3-11, which you're about to see. is the result of intense experimentation into what we have found, and most importantly, how we can fight it and use it as a weapon for the Dominion and Corporation status. Whilst in this facility, we must be aware that there may still be traces of H.3-11 in the air, so it is vital that you wear the masks that we have given you for your own safety. These are the rules that must be followed. Observe, don't engage. Do not touch them. Do not engage with them. Even if they were to engage with you, you do not engage with them. Filming is strictly prohibited. Any found in breach of this will be reprehended. Good luck.
This one, again, I could see why it won an award in the previous season for Best Scare Attraction in the UK. It was just unbelievable. For me, it was very disorientating. I think the pre-show felt very much like Nemesis of Terror again, where it was you're in this room, you watch a pre-show screen, you're led into somewhere and something happens. Whether that's you're led into an observation chamber or you're led into a scene and an actress is killed and you make your way through the maze by yourselves as a group. So yeah, it was brilliant. The theming around there was spot on. The documents really made it feel like a real experiment laboratory, and it really made you feel disorientated, like you were in this, compound, and it made you feel like you had no chance to escape because you were surrounded by these, infected creatures, and you sort of had no way of escaping unless it was through them without getting infected already, which to be fair with the pre-show, they made it very, very clear, some of us were infected, and they gave some people masks and some people didn't have masks, and it was very, kind of pick and choose, which felt very good for the story. Felt very, the storyteller in me sort of thinks, they give people some masks and some people don't get masks. And it's like, hang on a second. Do they want some people to survive? Some people not? It kind of got the gears going in terms of telling a story and trying to figure out what the story was. The scariness, again, the acting quality throughout the event was spot on. The actresses and the actors were fantastic. Obviously, the main part of that was the chainsaw finale. Again, brilliant. You're sort of being led down dead ends by jump scaring actors. You're going through this caged sort of exit queue, decontamination maze at the end, decontamination finale, with the chainsaw around you. It really gave you a real disorientating factor. So I think they did a really good job with that. And again, I think the theming around there was spot on, and the kind of bloodthirsty nature of the actors really gave a really cannibalistic, showcase towards us guests. With YANA, I'm going to give that 9 out of 10. I think it was so close to being a 10. I think just a few more jump scares. And I think there was a couple of moments where it was just blank walls. I would have liked to have seen maybe a couple of little bits of extra theming maybe on there. For me anyway. But for me, I can hardly fault that maze. It was 9 out of 10. It was one of the best mazes on the night. Obviously, the best is yet to come, which you'll find out later. But YANA Gate, brilliant. Absolutely loved it. And I can't wait to visit the facility again. Hopefully this time not infected. So next up, the Pogo Club. This is the hardcore rave with the clowns and the twisty, kind of atmosphere. So first you go into this kind of minute pre-show where it's like you're being, led into this rave, and, the lights go out after he's done telling you a tiny little bit. You don't get to hear a lot because it's like he starts talking about the history and then bam, power cut. You have this strobe effect where a clown's up in you. You have one on that side. The lights go black. Goes onto the other side of the crowd. Black again. They try and get the lights back on, and they stamp the feet on the board on the rave parlour, and the rave parlour? I call it a rave parlour now. And it shows what I know about raves. But then the lights come on, we have a bit of a rave, or we try to have a bit of a rave. Another actress comes in, it's like, what are you doing? You need to go, you need to escape, they're coming back, whatever it is, this kind of story. And then you're led into the rave toilets, and you're sort of locked in these two toilet rooms. There's like a little jump scare effect. I dropped my phone. It's alright, don't get me wrong, don't worry, don't fret, it's alright. Sort of dropped it when the jump scare toilet came in from the back, and yeah, luckily the actress kind of swooped it underneath, like, there you go. So it was alright. I'm not going to show the moment where I dropped my phone because it'll just screw up the system. But then we're led into the maze. Again, brilliant. The actresses were spot on. There was a particular actress. If you know who you are, please message me and say it was you. I might know who it is, but I'm not too sure. Yeah, so this actress basically said, what do you taste like? And I said, candy is a bit of a joke. And she was like, I want men!
What do you taste like?
Candy?
I don't want candy! I want me!
And she was fantastic. There was another actress that was sort of hanging at the top of the fence when we'd just come out of the rave toilets. But no, it was fantastic. Then you're led at the end into this kind of outside carnival section, which felt a bit like a mini scare zone at the end, I'll be honest. There was nice theming around. There's some nice carnival stuff on the outside, but at the end, when you're led into this last bit, where there's like this actor on this table in a little indoor hut after a bit of outside section, it's like, you taste good! And then you're sort of led out into the exit, basically. But yeah, the theming outside, inside was spot on. The bloodthirsty red lighting in the finale, hut section, indoor section was fantastic. The carnival theming on the inside before you led into the outside section towards the end. So all of that beforehand and in the pre-show bit was spot on. It really gave you exit Thorpe Park Q-Line vibes with the rave. Then it leads you into like a twisty fun house, which gave you nice, carnival kind of vibes. So yeah, I think that they did a fantastic job. They really did a fantastic job with Pogo Club. Again, I think the same with Crackle Hill. I don't think that was the scariest of the mazes. I think that and Crackle Hill were probably the least scariest of the 5. But it was still scary. It still had some scare moments. It was very much jump scare heavy. There was a few longevity scares, like some people giving you looks and sort of letting you past a couple of times. But overall, I think it was a decent maze. Overall, 7 out of 10 for me with the Pogo Club. I think that was a pretty good maze. And if you want to head into the Twisty Fun House, then go and buy your tickets for Doncaster Fear Factory. I've linked the link in the description down below the video. And finally, the brand new maze for 2023, Diabolus, the Keeper of Secrets. Now, I'm going to put an extra spoiler warning on this one. This was a brand new maze. We couldn't film anything inside, so please go forward if you want to see no spoilers from this. Straight to the spoiler-free summary at the end of the video, which we already spoke about at the start. If you want to go straight there and not be spoiled about the new maze in particular, then go straight there. Now then, for those of you who have stuck around, Diabolus, the Keeper of Secrets. Now, I said before, this is a different type of maze to the other 4. Now, you're probably thinking, Chal, what type of maze is this? Have any of you done the passing at Thorpe Park Fright Nights? Or here's another one, the Haunting of Molly Crow at Alton Tower Scarefest. That is right, this is a blindfold maze, and I was thinking, oh Jesus Lord, oh God. Which kind of fit the theme, because the theme at the start was like a confession booth, and it was like confessing your sins. And you it was 2 people in per booth. I was stuck with a wonderful guy, shout out to you if you know who you are. And we were sort of shouting our sins at the top. I was making up some really fake ones. Loads of people were making some stuff up and things like that. And then we were sort of let out the confession booth. Straight away, we put one bag over, well, the nuns shall I say, Lord be our saviour. The nuns put the bag over our head. We're thinking, okay, I can kind of see a little bit. Then they put a second bag over your head, and I'm like, oh Jesus, no. Basically what it is, you follow a guide rope, the nuns would like whisper in your ear if you're like, you're going the wrong way. And they'd whisper things like, this way forward. And it was very, very disorientating. It was very, very vile and creepy and kind of wormy in a way. It was kind of like trying to worm the words into your head. It was fantastic. It was so scary. I'd never been so scared in my life. I'm alright with the dark and disorientation and things like that, but when it's like 2 bags over your head, you're following one rope in a complete pitch black atmosphere, and you've got this nun's voice in your ear whispering things into you, it just felt absolutely awful. Yeah, so there's many things they do to you in there. They can spin you around. They can put you onto a different guide rope. You don't end up in the same order that you started. It felt like you were being dragged I was definitely dragged a couple of times. There was a couple of times when they were like taking my arm and like dragging me to a different part of the rope. It was bad. Then afterwards, you're led into this finale scene. Again, double spoiler alert if you don't want the finale. Basically what happens, you walk into this church, that says you confess your sins and things like that. Then at the top of the church window, you've got this actor who ends up zip-wiring across the top of the church as a bit like a demon sort of priest, demon, nun, whatever it is. And it's like, I think it must be something to do with Diabolus. I think it was the case of meeting Diabolus in some kind of form. And then you're kind of led out. It was, oh my goodness. I went for a 10 out of 10 with this one. The theming in the church bit and the confession booth was spot on. It felt very much like the passing at Thorpe Park Friday night, or Molly Crow at Alton Tale Scarefest meets Wicker Man in terms of the cult-like atmosphere that was going on inside that attraction with the storyline and the theming wise and things like that. Obviously the church building kind of reminded me a bit of the Swarm in the finale, a bit like the church and the Swarm station at Thorpe Park as well, the B&M wing coaster, with the white walls and things like that. So for me, Diabolus, best maze of the night. I actually think it was probably the greatest maze I've done so far. Obviously I'm still yet to do a load of events, Halloween Horror Nights, Tully's Farm, things like that, Scarefest. I did Scarefest, but I didn't do the maze at the time. The last time I did a Scarefest event was actually over 10 years ago, which is mad for a theme park enthusiast. But yeah, last time I did Scarefest was like Carnival of Screams, Boiler House, that kind of thing. And I didn't get a chance to do the mazes then because I was only 10 years old. So yeah, so I've still got a lot of Halloween events to do over the years, doing theme park journalism. But for me, Diabolus, best maze I've done so far. It was just unbelievable. And there we go. So that is it. So if you're here for the spoiler-free summary, here we go. Fantastic event. Fully recommend it if you love horror. If you're easily scared, I probably wouldn't recommend it because you'll be absolutely terrified. And I don't want you to end up getting hurt in any way, shape or form. Like after the maze and things like that. So I'd rather, like, if you're easily scared and you want to try it, go for it. If you're easily scared and you don't think you can handle even like one jump scare, definitely not for you. Because this one is an extreme event. It's got some brilliant elements to it in terms of inside the mazes. The roaming entertainment was spot on all night. The queuing for the mazes weren't too bad as well. You know, it was only like, I think we waited about 5-6 minutes maximum for each maze. So, you know, the queue times weren't too shabby. Overall for the event, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it was fantastic, and I definitely recommend you guys coming back for more. But there we are, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, and for now, I am the CHALL. Ta-ra for now.